So today we're going to cover 7.3, which are going to be equations with fractional coefficients. Now, we really did this at the beginning of the year, and I taught you that you could multiply the entire equation by the common denominator to eliminate the fraction. And that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to look for a common denominator, and at the beginning they're all numerical denominators. Later on we're going to be getting into the variable denominators, but in this lesson they're just going to be numerical. So what we'll do is we're going to find the LCD, and then we're going to multiply the entire equation by that LCD, and then once they all have a common denominator, we don't use it anymore. We're only going to work with the numerator. So for example, on number 1, first thing I need to do, and I can put a 1 underneath my 10, I need to find a common denominator between 7, 3, and 1. And I know that LCD is going to be 21. So then now what I'm going to do is multiply my entire equation by that LCD. Now, you're not only multiplying the left side, but also this right side. So what we can do here is sort of think like you're distributing the 21 to each one. So for example, I'm going to multiply it over to here. Notice when I do it, the 7 and the 21 will simplify, and that becomes a 3. So 3 times x, and that's what remains. Then when I distribute the 21 to this one, I can simplify, and the 21 now becomes a 7. And then over here, I just have to multiply the 21 times 10, because nothing cross simplifies, and I get 210. Now I just solve what remains. So 7x plus 3x is 10x is equal to 210. Divide by 10, and x equals 21. And that's your answer on that one. For example, letter B. Again, I need to find a common denominator between 5, 2, and 20. And that LCD is going to be 20. So I'm going to multiply this side by 20. Now, some places or some teachers will just write the whole thing in here, like this. Just remember that this 20 needs to distribute to all 3. So when I go ahead and do the first one, and I'm basically doing 20 over 1 times 3a over 5.
Mr. Marks, your appointment is in the main office.
So if it helps you to see it that way, and you can write them side by side, you can. Then for the next one, you're going to multiply the 20 over 1 times the a over 2. Again, this can simplify, become a 10. And then this would become minus 10a. And then the last one, 20 over 1 times the 1 over 20. They both become 1s, and it equals 1. And now I solve what remains. Some of you won't need to write all these out, one by one. You'll see it. Whatever you're going to be comfortable doing. So now 12a minus 10a is 2a equals 1. Divide by 2, and a equals 1/2. Let's try the next example. So we did this at the beginning of the year. All right, so example 2. Again, I need to find a common denominator between 3, 5, and 1. And I can see that that's going to be 15. So again, I'm going to take the 15, and I'm going to multiply it to everything. So again, if you want to do it piece by piece, you're doing 15 over 1 times the x over 3, 15 over 1. And be careful on this one because there's a subtraction sign here. So you could distribute it if you want and make this negative x minus 2 over 5. Might make it a little easier and set it up as a keep flip change. And now this would be a plus sign if you distribute it. And then the last one would be 15 over 1 times 2 over 1. So now when I go to do the first one, simplify diagonally, this becomes 5x. Then the next one, I'm going to simplify diagonally first, 1, 3. But now I have to distribute the 3 to the negative x and to the negative 2. And then lastly, 15 times 2, and I get 30. Now I can group my like terms and solve my equation. So I'll group these two, gives me 2x. I'll now solve the two-step by adding the 6 first, and then dividing by 2. And x equals 18. Again, remember, on all of these, to check your answers, you can plug it back in to the very beginning. So if I wanted to check this, I could do 18 divided by 3 minus 18 plus 2 divided by 5 and see if it equals the 2. So 18 divided by 3 is 6. And then if I simplify this, 18 plus 2 is 20 divided by 5 is 4, and 6 minus 4 is 2, it checks. So you could check your answers by plugging them back in. B, again, I need to find a common denominator. And again, remember, I could put 1s underneath here. So my common denominator here is going to be 12. So again, I'm going to multiply my whole equation by 12. So 2n over 1 plus n over 3, n over 4, 5 over, and now distribute it to all 4 pieces. So when I do it to the first one, I'm going to get 24n. The second one, when I distribute it, it'll simplify diagonally. 3 divided by 12 is 4, so this becomes a 4n. Then when I do it to the next one, this will be a 3n. And then the last one is just going to be 60. So now I need to group my letters and group my numbers. So here I can add these two first. They're on the same side. So this will become 28n. And this is still 3n plus 60. And now I'll move my 3n over. 25n is equal to 60. Divide by 25. And n is equal to 60 over 25. I can divide them both by 5. And I would get 12 over 5. And you can leave it like that. If you want to divide it, you could make it 2 2/5 or 2.4. Any of those 3 answers. So again, we did this at the beginning of the year. It's just eliminating the fractions by multiplying by the LCD. You could work with the fractions, but it's a little bit more difficult dealing with the fractions. So it's a lot easier to clear them, and then you only work with the numerator. So the homework, this section, and this isn't due until Thursday, is 5 through 30 all, and then again on the problem solving, 2 through 14 even.